Good morning, good afternoon. Today we have a great guest speaker. It's one of my colleagues at IBM. His name is Gerhard. Gerhard, good afternoon.
Hi, Ivan. Nice to join you for this little interview here. I'm very excited about it.
Thank you so much, Gerhard. First of all, let me ask you, what is your current role at IBM?
I'm currently serving as the head of design for IBM Technology Support Services. IBM Technology Support Services is a division in IBM that provides support services to clients for example, we are taking care of the maintenance for their equipment and we make sure that everything keeps up smooth and running and there are no outages well, what I'm working on with Ivan is making this even better and predicting what might happen and then preventing errors before they occur.
Excellent.
Before that, before that role, I was head of design, head of enterprise design thinking for Europe, and I think that's why Ivan invited me because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sponsor users, right, Ivan?
Yes, exactly the topic we're going to cover today, because we are working on this project with my students, and they were saying, but I don't have a way to measure progress and get additional feedback from my uh, intended users. So is there something that we can use? And I thought, maybe this is the right use case for a sponsor user session. So Gerhard, why don't you tell us a little bit more about design thinking? What are the additions that have been provided and how sponsor users fits in that strategy?
Okay, let's do that. So I have prepared a few slides I want to walk you through really quickly, and I would like to start by looking together with you at IBM's Enterprise Design Thinking Framework. Yeah, so that is the framework around what we call the sponsor user program, which we're having in technology support services. So let's go through those elements on the page really quickly so that you get a sense for it. So design thinking or enterprise design thinking in IBM's case, it's our framework for human-centered innovation. It's our framework for solving our users' problems at speed and at scale. And both is important. So remember that speed and scale. So what are the principles? I mean, first of all, let me say one thing. Design thinking is a pretty old hat. So it's been around since decades. Yeah. Interesting in the last couple of years, and also like from IBM's perspective, we picked up design thinking because the mindset is really extremely valuable when you're designing solutions for people. Yeah, and doing these designs based on human needs. The challenge, if you are a company like IBM, you can imagine we have I don't know what the latest number is, but roughly 350, 360,000 employees worldwide, right? So, and our projects are typically not the classic ones you hear about when we speak about Agile and Scrum, like that are fed by two pizza boxes. It's typically projects with dozens, if not hundreds, of people working on it on a global scale. So we needed to take design thinking, but make it ready for such for these use cases. But something haven't changed, and some things and the principles you can see up on top are the core principles of design thinking. So focus on user outcomes. So whatever we do, the litmus test, if we are successful or not, is does it produce meaningful outcomes for our users? Our users are our North Star. Yeah. And by the way, that has an interesting connotation. So we have to know our users really well, because otherwise you don't know what they actually need, what their pain points are. Yeah. Then on the very right-hand side, on the top, diverse empowered teams. That just means that we don't put a couple of like finance people, engineers, or whatever together and to find out a solution. No, we are trying to build diverse, empowered teams where all the different perspectives and different positions are present in the same team. That allows us to, like, I mean, the classical three in a box team we're using, three in a box is another piece of IBM jargon, but it's like we take the marketing side, the offering managers, and they work closely together with the designers and the user researchers And they again work closely together with the developers, the engineers, and then other people are involved, like again, marketing people and sales. And together they form this diverse empowered team that really quickly can take a challenge, find an approach that fits the market, and then develop and design a solution that's actually addressing those user needs. So that's where the diverse empowered team comes into play. And restless reinvention is the perspective we take of saying, okay, whatever we do, we will probably have to iterate on it. Yeah, so we will come up with a great solution now. We will treat this as the prototype for the next best solution we're going to build tomorrow. Like, not literally, but you're getting the point. What helps us with that is the loop. The loop is how we do it. Yeah. And the loop has three important phases. The phases are observe, reflect, and make. And it doesn't matter where in the loop you start when you're solving a challenge, but you should go through all three phases. Yeah, observing means we are deeply immersing ourselves into our users' world. So we are reading about our users, we're watching them, we're speaking with them, right? So we are taking in as much information as we can in the context of the challenge we want to solve, to validate that we are solving the right challenge, but also to get really this detailed understanding of what our users are looking for. Then that's the information intake, if you will, right? So the next phase is reflecting. So now we as a team come together, we stick our heads together, and we make sense of what we've heard, what we've observed, what we've learned. And based on this reflection, we form intent, and we define what we are going to do next. So what's our approach going to be? Yeah, that's what happens during the reflection phase. Also idea creation. Yeah, so how are we going to tackle this? And then we make something. Design thinking is about getting your hands dirty, right? So we have to build a prototype, we have to make it work. And then once we have that, we can show that to our users again and see how they react. Does this fit their needs, or is it maybe a little off still? Yeah, and we need to do another loop, another iteration through the loop and so on. So that's the more classic pieces of design thinking, but newly interpreted, if you will. Yeah. Then when you're looking at the bottom, then you see the keys. The keys are three elements which IBM has added to design thinking. They put the enterprise in enterprise design thinking. Those are the keys, the elements that bring design thinking to scale for large globally dispersed teams. And I'm going through them really quickly, and then we spend a little bit more time on sponsor users. So when we start with Hills, with Hills we define the intent we have in a certain release from a human-centered perspective. Yeah, so they typically have this form of who, what, wow, the three W's. Whom are we doing it for? What is it what they will be able to do once we are done with this piece of work? And what makes them go, wow, that's what I always wanted. Brilliant. Now you solve it. You got it. Yeah. It deliberately does not include the how. Yeah. Because we have great teams, they figure out the how themselves. Yeah. So the hill is just like giving them direction. So it's providing alignment. So the whole team knows into which direction to go. So that's Hills. Hills provide alignment. Then playbacks make sure we stay aligned. So if you have a big team, it's not that everybody is in the same room at any time. Plus your sponsors, your stakeholders will probably don't have time to hang out with the team continuously. So playback time means we show what we did. We tell a human-centered story. So we're showing our current piece of work, what we have created, but we don't show like just a few bits and bytes and technology pieces. We embed it into a story. So that's like Hills, getting aligned, playbacks staying aligned, and the real truth of what we're the real metric of understanding that we are doing the right thing is people. Yeah, sponsor users. Now we're coming to the third concept, sponsor users. Sponsor users are people we collaborate with, make sure the experience delivers, aligns with their reality. So that means it's real people we know. Yeah, it's not just like a construct, right? It's Joe from company A and Jane from company B and Tim from company C. Yeah, and those work together with us in a continuously. So we are disclosing to them early design concepts. We're getting their feedback. We're showing them how we applied their feedback into evolved versions of the designs, into new prototypes, and get feedback from them continuously. And why is that so important? Well, if you would do things in the traditional classic way, you would assume, well, we are all smart people. We figure this out all ourselves, right? And you would base your designs, your products on assumptions you make. But that's extremely dangerous because if you are not your user, and usually you're not your user, right? Then making assumptions about human needs, about pain points, and of your clients may be totally off. Yeah, and the thing is, if you're building something based on wrong assumptions, the danger is that your solution will not be acceptable, will not be delightful, will nothing your users will be spending money on, right? And I mean, ultimately, we want to do two things. We want to build great solutions, great products, but we also want to make our users happy, and we want them to acquire our products because they feel this is solving their actual needs. Yeah. So that's roughly what design thinking and what sponsored users are about.
Excellent, Gerhard. I have a few questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How difficult it is to find these sponsor users? What is it for them? What are they going to commit that to help us shape the product?
Mm-hmm. So it depends, right? I mean, for new products, it's sometimes a little difficult to find sponsor users because you don't have anything you can show yet and say, hey, we're making this one bigger, or assume finding sponsor users for a new product like the iPhone, right? I mean, nobody even knew that this is a thing, right? So that can be challenging. But if I mean, typically what we do is you have existing clients, right? And in most cases you're not like inventing something totally new, and so you can approach them and can say, oh, look, this is what we're planning to do. Does this sound about interesting for you? Would you like to be part of that, right? Would you like to be part of our team? And that means this comes with obligations, but also with a lot of benefits. So the obligations means they have to give us their time, at least a small fraction of their time. But what they get out of that is they get direct input and direct influence on the product that comes to life.
Excellent, excellent.
And hopefully by that can make sure that what we're building is actually ultimately addressing their needs. Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the logistics. So you have like a monthly meeting, you have an email. What is the mechanism by which you engage the sponsor users typically?
This is very different from different teams who are using such an approach. In the pre-COVID times, a lot of like sponsor user meetings would happen on site at the client site. So the design lead and the user researcher would go there. They would do live research with them, maybe like observing people in real life, and then during a workshop. Assessing these observations and creating insights live out of that. So that became a little difficult in these days, right? So it's not so easy anymore to go and to look over the shoulder of a certain user who is I don't know, maintaining the equipment or whatever. So therefore we found electronic ways to do that. A lot though is still using interviews. It's just like that the interviews now don't happen in person, but using a tool like WebEx as we do it right now. Yeah. So that's a great way of getting information. The small danger is what as Jen Mate said, what people say and what people do and what they say they do are entirely different things. Yeah. So just hearing during an interview, we got to take this with a grain of salt. But if you're hearing the same thing from multiple users, so that's why we don't have just one sponsor users. We try to have many. Then it adds up to a picture. Yeah. And then, I mean, in
Ex-
addition to that, we do playbacks. We show them what we did, right? And we ask them for their feedback, yeah. And sometimes in the old days, again, like meeting at conferences and doing co-creation live and so on. These are all things that are elements that can form such a sponsor user program.
Excellent, Gerhard. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise in this area with our students. And one final question, do you have any link or recommendations people can learn more about sponsor users or design thinking in general?
Um, a really good resource and is, and I skipped over that one when I was going through the slides. Thanks for the reminder, Ivan. So if you go to ibm.com/design thinking, that's a great entry page, because there you have access to the entire framework, to the toolkit, to all the courses. Yeah, so the design thinking courses are for free, so you can get in within like approximately 2 hours or so, you can do your design thinking practitioner, right? So that's a 2 hour course, and you walk away with a badge that demonstrates that you have that. We have another wonderful course there, which is the AI Essentials. As I'm hearing you are experts in AI, or some of you are already, so you will find this probably quite interesting, and we'll be able to go through that really quickly. And then the link we put in here is that very link to the sponsor users information in the framework. So for all of the things I had on my chart, there are chapters on this page, but this one is the one that directly points to the sponsor users page.
Excellent. Gerhard, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's very late for you in Germany right now on a Friday night. So cheers, and we'll talk to you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you, and all the best. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Stop the recording now.